Hey y'all, it's your girl Jamaica. I'm coming back live and in color. So we were previously talking about SAOs, and I showed you guys my big baby. Uh-huh. All right, so I went through this first piece. Listen, y'all, I've already gone through this first piece with y'all, and it's not a lot. It's really not. But now I'm gonna dive deeper into all of this. Y'all see my students work and stuff in there? Yeah. All right, so the SAOs, of course, as we've been talking about, is just for you to prove that your students know what they're doing, that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, teaching. But it's the student achievement objectives. So, of course, you provide different objectives for your students, um, and then you're able to make some adjustments. So let me show y'all a little something. So after my, oh Lord, Whew. All right, y'all. So after I go through my learning objectives, in the last video, I told you guys we had the learning objectives, the big picture, all that good stuff. Here we dive into in my folder, I dive into my students. So my next piece is I have my students' scores, right? And what I did is I showed it from what period they're in, and then what they were making at the beginning. So you see a lot of ones and twos. Can y'all see? Boom. All right. So you see here, there's a lot of ones and twos, and you'll see their actual scores. I can't really move my hand over right in here. And then you'll see their levels as it progressed towards the end of the year. So I just listed this. I think it's something that I would highly recommend. You have from 2000 and this one was 2021 to 2022, and then as it progressed to 2022, 2023. So you saw some of my students who had a one. Y'all, I should have just like, I know I'm being extra, but I don't mind. You guys can hang in there and love my extraness right along with me and all my sticky notes. If I had my teacher resources, I would have had my document camera. And with my document camera, I would have been able to really show y'all. I might go get me one for real. It sounds like a plan. Next purchase. All right, so let me show you guys a couple things. Let me bring my pen over. And I know we're gonna dig into this SAO folder. Look up here to y'all, sorry. We're gonna dig into this SAO folder, but I do want to show y'all a couple things. So right here, okay, I told y'all I had students from first and second period. So of course there was a mix because I think like 19 and 18, and then I did the whole first and second period, both, and then they kind of canceled themselves out and left me with roughly 20 students. Um Again, I did not adjust or change anything. Like I still have all of my ELLY students, which is your language learners and stuff like that. You can see where some of the students were at the end of the year, and then where they were at the beginning of the next year. So it is what it is. Okay, y'all. So let me show you a couple of things. And this is I'm showing you this. Let me back up for a second because it is depending on how you manipulate your data, the the way that you use your data is what's going to be most beneficial for you in the long run. I didn't do it this way previously, but I probably should have. Um, but I had big goals, y'all. Don't be like me. Don't don't have too many big goals. Just have achievable goals sometimes. But let me show you anyway, because y'all probably like, what is this girl talking about? All right. So these students here, their last year before they entered into eighth grade, so at seventh grade, they scored a 3, as you can see on FSA, right? ELA, FSA, they scored a 3. Well, when they came into my classroom and we took tests, they were at like a level 1 and a level 2. So same thing here, scored a 2, came in at a level 1. So all of this data here, boom, make it clip for y'all. All of this data here was their eighth grade year data. Everything over here shows the previous school year. I wanted to exceed what was here instead of allow my data to show what was here. So if you want to show the most growth, go with the lowest score. I know that's not what they probably tell you or what somebody may want me to say, but if you want to show the most growth, go with the lowest score. I didn't do so, so my end of the year data based off of my own my own construction, I was effective instead of highly effective. Um I think I was like a half a point away from being highly effective. I'm sure if I would have went with the lower scores, I would have definitely been highly effective. But I don't like to cheat myself. I like a good challenge from time to time. But anyway, so you live and you learn. But as you can see, majority of my students started with a level 1 or level 2, level 1, level 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. Very few of them, let me see if I can do this too for y'all as it records. Does that look better to y'all? Now my pointing may be a little off now, but as you can see, level 1s and level 2s. None of my students, there we go. None of my students, when they began this school year, was where they needed to be. Although some of them, when they ended the previous year, they were probably just barely making it where they needed. A 3 is pretty decent. So even here, this person did not score or did not test, but the end of the previous year, they were at a 3. But here, sorry, y'all, I'm working backwards. But here you see the changes, right? So this particular person was at a level 1 at the beginning of the year. They went to a level 2. For me, I'm looking at this level 3. I wanted them to get to a 3. So when you're filling in that assessment, you're filling in that area on SAOs, just be mindful of what you're putting for each student. Be mindful of where they're starting at this year, and then move from there. Because although, previously at seventh grade, they may have achieved a 3, we don't know if, there could be a number of things, right? We don't know if there's still going to be a 3 at the eighth grade level, depending on what was happening in that previous year. Yes, we can get them up, but a lot of things are based off of student achievement as well. And it just is what it is, y'all. But overall, y'all see my scores. I like to be honest with y'all. I like to be forthcoming. I'm gonna put it back up here. You can pause it if you need to, if you want to. Um, shoot, I'm trying to figure this out. It's backwards. Okay. So as you can see overall, most of my students started out the year. Okay, right here. Most of my students started out the year as 1s and 2s. And then by the end of the year over here, I had ones, twos, threes, and 1 4 and 1 5. So there still was some progression. Okay. It is what it is. You can't win them all. But hey, strive for it. Strive for excellence. That was my goal. All right. So outside of that, and I still didn't turn on the time. I probably should have did that. So outside of that, when you go into and let me show you guys this as well. When you go into the system, you are able hmm, no, this is not it. Anyway, it's something similar to this. So I'm not going to really show you guys this necessarily, but you're able to see whether or not they are at or near or below standard or whatever it is, above standard. Um, I do have a document that breaks down because I'm always about the data. What I can show you right here is how they look with poetry, how they look with informational text, how they look with vocabulary. Um, and I printed out that information so that we could really see their achievement levels and where they were based on those different areas because again, my standards or my big picture and goal included 11 different standards. So I wanted to be very clear in what my students could or where they were in each area. All right. Now that that's done, let's get into this folder because this is what y'all have been waiting for. And I'm so glad y'all stuck around with me. So in my folder, the way I set it up is I have the lesson plans. And that's one of the lesson plans from the very beginning of the year. You primarily only have to maintain your documents from September when you once you've chosen your particular class that you're working with. I just put everything in there because I'm just that girl. I would recommend including everything. They can take out what they want or whatever else. But let me show you guys. So this is an example of one of our lesson plans. Over here, I have the standards. The ones that are bolded were my highlighted or my spot spotlighted benchmarks. Of course, you have the learning target, so what the student should be able to do. And then I go through each day of the week with the I do, we do, you do. So the I do is teacher led, we do is group as a class, and then you do as what the students will do on their own as an individual. Typically for me, Mondays and Tuesdays are the days that I teach. My students know that. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday, it's on you, baby. That's how I tell them. It's on you, baby. But Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm usually teaching. There is some type of introduction or something that I'm doing Mondays and Tuesdays. I know some of the schools have some things that are a little bit more specific. Some schools make you write down what you'll be saying, what you expect the kids to do, or whatever else. Each school has something different in terms of their lesson plans, but this is just a simplistic version of what ours include. I always like to add in the teacher page number from the manual, also have the students page numbers as well. And right, also have the students page number as well. Mostly this over here does not change because my groups, so whether it's group A, B, or C, my groups and my students will adjust. So group A is not always going to be the same students, but they will be based off of their abilities. They know what it is that they're doing, or based off of my direction while I'm talking to them. um I would typically tell them, sorry y'all, I would typically tell them, hey, this is what you're doing. So I don't, some people do like to say, hey, you're in group A, you're in group B. I just say, hey, today this group of these two tables are working on X, Y, and Z, or I move them around per table based off of what they were learning, their grades, all of that stuff. My groups are always changing. And then some of them they know that they can work with particular people just based off of our agreements because as I stated to you previously, My students usually, we do a bell work assignment, and I allow them to create their support system. And so they can work with the groups that I have for them, or sometimes they'll be able to work with their support system, get caught up, whatever it is. Or if they are caught up, of course, it's just to um make sure that we stay on task. So I'll talk more about that if that's something you guys are interested in. Just let me know in the chat. So as I stated, this is the lesson plan. The lesson plan goes in there. Then what I did was I added the actual documentation. So this was one of the students' book. This is McGraw-Hill, the story that they read. Let me turn this to you guys. So the first story here was The Telltale Heart, which was in the book. So we would read The Telltale Heart. And then they would have some questions that they answered, which is a part of whatever is in the actual book. So I'm not gonna go too far in depth with the questions and things. What I will probably do is create another video where I show you guys some of the ways to use this and do your DOK and do your to make sure you're checking off on it so that you understand it's already done for you. You don't have to do anything extra. You just need to know how to explain that it's done. But yeah, I had the lesson plan. Sorry, I was waiting for the video to get clear. I had the lesson plan, I had the activity in the book. As the year progressed, this was some of the first ones. As the year progressed, and let me push this over, I'm going to show you guys what I also added. So the next week. All right. So we have the lesson plans. What's blacked out here? Usually we had like district writing. I would just put district writing. It's so disrespectful. It don't want to do it. If whatever we had, I had practice writing for the you do. So once you finish your district writing, like this is the activity that we're going into. And then I discussed it. So over here on this page, our standard was 1.4, right? And I put the spotlighted benchmark, which dealt with expository writing. And then I just wrote me a little something down. As y'all can see, none of my students was proficient in writing. None of them. And so, as an example, like I would leave my data assessment in the folder as well, but I'm just gonna read this for y'all, just so you can know. So it says none of the students wrote an expository paper. Most of them created an argumentative essay. About 15% of the students summarized the text. Many had issues integrating and supporting thoughts. The first goal uh, is to work on their thesis to assist students in focusing their ideas, then moving into supporting ideas with textual evidence through a good, better, best selection process. After, I will explicitly teach structure and transitions, then follow up with the peer edits to hold students accountable for their writing and allow them to use rubrics to identify what is lacking or missing, not only in their writing, but in others. I also need to address formal versus informal writing. So that was my analysis. If you can put your lesson plan in there, put your data in there, put the example of the assignment that you guys did in there, and then whatever students who turned it in. What writing is difficult, I don't have any of that in this folder because the writing, they're constantly updating their writing. And then somewhere along the lines, papers get missing, go missing. I think some of their writing was done on the computers. A large majority was done on the computers. And after you print it out for them to look at it and edit and change and rewrite and whatever else, it's just too much for one teacher to be printing out 150 some odd pages when they don't have their own printer, and different things like that. So that has its own issues, in all honesty. But we made it work as much as possible. So again, just giving you guys another example. So here I put the lesson plans. Then of course the focus on the spotlight benchmark. So here we did R 1.1, 1.3, 2.1, and C 1.2. However, their spotlighted benchmark was 1.3. And I explained to the students that, you know, we're being exposed to all these standards, and I showed them based off the questions which one is regarding what. But I told them what they're being graded on the most and what's most important was the 1.3. And so we spent a lot of time in that. Here on this one, again, the I'll just show y'all the percentages. It wasn't good. It wasn't. Boom. It just is what it is at the beginning of the year. You got to get the babies into check. On this assessment here, I wrote up a little synopsis again saying students work well with sentence frames, which help them identify um and identify clarity and areas of concerns in terms of understanding the different perspectives of the characters. However, when given challenging vocabulary such as no nonsense, shell shock, spine chilling, and matter of fact, they could not identify the correlating characters. The word bank was provided. Students were successful in matching character descriptions to the correlating definitions, but could not translate those descriptors into simple or complex sentences. So as I stated to you previously, in terms of writing, can they do simple or complex sentence? Do they know what a simple sentence is? Do they know what a complex sentence is? Um, some teachers focus on that, some don't, but I definitely do. And different areas as well. And then of course I put in the example of the work that was provided so that they could see it, and they being like administration, whoever else was going to be able to get their hands on this 3-ring binder. But then as we progressed throughout the year, then I started to add in students' work, and I have not erased anybody's name, so I'm not going to show you any of the work, but I just wanted you guys to be aware of how you can go about uh creating your 3-ring binder or whatever it is that you want, is putting your lesson plans, because you already have to do that, putting your data because you already have to do that, put in the assignment because that's what you're working on, and then and then as you can take some of the students work and put it in as well towards the middle of the year, because then my students they got their laptops, and of course, I'm a big advocate for them utilizing the online resources to learn as well. What I also included was, dang, I wanted to show y'all this too, but this may or may not work. All right, so what I also included along with the I'll show you this one. Along with those in-class assignments was the online stuff. So, for example, this is what I posted in class link. So I just printed it in, well, excuse me. This is what I posted in Schoology in reference to the McGraw-Hill website and resources. This one in particular, they did all of this in Schoology because this was the argumentative writing. So, of course, going through the writing process was a little bit different. Sorry, y'all, that thing was hard to do. But as we progressed throughout the year and they had other assignments, the same assignments we did in class, I just made sure that I provided them with opportunity in class to do the online portions as well. So maybe in class, we only looked at 3 of the 5 questions that were in the book, the three that pertain to the standard, and then we went online so that they could do those resources, get the additional structure, because not structure, but scaffolding, get the additional scaffolding that they need, because the online resources provided some additional work and assistance to them. And then of course some students aren't going to want to do it, but you're doing as much as you can. And I allowed them time in class to complete it. Also told them they get extended time, which would be like going home, because some of the IEPs would say time and a half, or twice as much as other students. You're going to be able to utilize the time as you see fit. And here is like an example. So we would do one assignment in class, which was the Santa Fe Indian school. And then, of course, online, they would do the first read and closed read of that, which is very, very much so, almost exactly the same as what was in the book. So it's really about giving them multiple choices to replace certain grades. Because I'm always about taking the best grade. I'll put it all in there and then put it all in the grade book. And then, of course, by the end of that week or the end of the quarter, or whatever it is, you go through and drop the lowest grades. My goal is not to keep you back as a student. This is what I always tell my kids. My goal is not to harm you or keep you back. I want to give you the best opportunity. And the more you have as far as exposure to this material, the better you'll be able to, the more you'll have practice, the better you'll become with it. And I saw a few people going from twos to fives, but those were the ones who really implemented and took advantage of all the practice. I saw plenty of people went from threes to fives. Um, but again, is what you give into your own work, into your own journey. All right. So one of the things that I would recommend, let me do this real quick, is inside of my document too, and you can do it however you see fit. I had this here. So it had the student's first and last name, their ID, class period. And say for instance, you could type in the week that's right here, type in the week that they're doing whatever work, and then list out the actual assignment that you chose to be a representation of that student. So if you're like me and you're giving out 2, 3, 4 different assignments, um, then based off of your lesson plan, you can say, well, took this because this was the highest grade, or whatever else, because be you should be doing a formative assessment multiple times throughout the week, at least. Sometimes, in all honesty, depending on the question and the material, you can roughly do something maybe even twice in one class period, because you're going to teach, give them an opportunity to go through and look at their answers, and then you can reteach. Your reteach can be in a small group setting, or your reteach can be whole group, just based off of the amount of people who are proficient in answering that particular question or understanding that particular skill. And then it gives you the ability to maneuver your classroom as well, so that you have people, again, who are all homogeneous, who are all the same. I mean homogeneous, yeah, who are all the same in one particular group, so that they can excel a little bit more, or heterogeneous and have them mixed and have them good, better, best type situation, as far as scores and numbers, and they can help each other out as needed. So it just depends on what your aim is in your course, in your class. All right, so that's just the gist of it, you guys. I think that's good enough. If there's anything more that you would like to know, any questions, comments, concerns, please just write me in the chat and let me know what you're looking for. Provide me with guidance to help guide you along this way. I do not have the online resources for some of this, the books. And again, McGraw Hill If you're looking for someone to come out to schools and to teach this material to the students and how to properly use these resources, I am here for you. You can just email me at jamika.anderson@gmail.com, and I would gladly be in contact with you so that we can utilize these resources properly to assist us teachers in having more time to put towards those students who really need that additional assistance. And of course, so we can help these students move these grades and just be more successful in their school year. So anybody, if you guys have the contact with McGraw Hill, or any resources, I am a great teacher. I love it. I love it. I like teaching teachers. I like assistant teachers. I like to coach and all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, I'm one of those people. I want to use the material and then I want to teach it. I don't know. That's as easy as I can make it. But again, if you guys have any questions, any comments, concerns, please do not hesitate to write me in the chats. Let me know if you're looking for someone to help you with guidance, getting your lesson plans together, getting a better understanding of how to use the materials. Again, don't hesitate to email me, contact me, so that I can assist you in those areas. Again, subscribe to the channel up above, like, share this out, all that good jazz. All right, y'all. So I love y'all. I'm gonna see y'all later. All right.